back in class. Okay. Florida, Iowa. All right. Philadelphia. Awesome. Cool. Oh, wow. I'm hoping that that conference is virtual, I'm assuming. Oh, wow. Thanks for joining us from Nigeria. Awesome. So I think we'll go ahead and get started. Yeah, thank you for joining the webinar. Can everyone see my screen sharing okay? Okay, Julie's nodding. So I think we're good. Awesome. Cool. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Awesome. So I'm Kate. I'm the Membership Experience Manager at CSTA. You've probably seen emails from me all the time, but I help kind of make sure your member experience is great. And so we are doing this series to kind of bring more awareness to different classroom products that are also CSTA Plus benefits. So in terms of discounts or trials, but yeah, I help support the member experience. And my co-lead for tonight is Julie. Julie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Julie Freiling. I'm the Education Partnership Manager over at GameSalad. And what I do is I help the platform fit with educators' needs to bridge the coding gap. So get students excited about coding through using our platform, which is video game design.
Awesome. Cool. Julie, thanks so much for joining us. And I kind of found out about GameSalad, which we'll learn about tonight, is Julie reached out to us to kind of put some information about GameSalad on our COVID resource page. And I can drop that in the chat in a little bit, but we have a virtual teaching page in terms of resources. And then we partnered with GameSalad for this to kind of, if folks want to kind of bring GameSalad to their classroom for a semester to get a classroom and district discount. So happy to provide that resource. Awesome. So I'll go ahead and talk about our agenda for tonight. Again, people will kind of trickle in, trickle out. It's just a few housekeeping things is I have you all on mute. So Julie and I can kind of get through, but feel free to ask questions in the chat throughout this. And then if it's kind of something we can cover during Julie's presentation, I'll kind of be like, hey, Julie, can you ask this? Otherwise, we will make sure we answer it at the end. Other things is I'm recording this. Don't worry, your video screen won't be shared. The recording will be the screens and myself and Julie. So if you for keeping notes and things like that, as well as the slide deck, I'll share out probably next week and through a couple different venues. Awesome. That is kind of all the housekeeping notes I have. But yeah, we're going to go through. My goal is to get us underneath an hour. I think it's a really great and interesting product. And what I like about tonight is we'll get kind of like an inside view if you haven't heard about GameSalad, what it offers, if it's something that would be a good fit for maybe you in the future, or if you have used it, how to kind of accelerate that. But talking about what the platform is, how does it bridge that gap? We'll look at a demo, and then I always like to take a look at it as, what does this look like in virtual learning or hybrid? What is the teacher experience? What is the student experience? And then the general focus, and then we'll have time, again, for those Q&A questions we didn't cover during the chat. Does that sound good for everybody? I'm just going to look for Julie to say yes.
Definitely. I love it.
Awesome.
I'm excited.
Awesome. I think that's one of the things I miss about, kind of seeing folks in person is that like energy. Otherwise, it's just my cat looking at me over here and wanting some food. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. Julie, do you want me to kind of control the slides, or do you want to share? Probably easier if you share, right?
Yeah, I'll share. No problem.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So your co-host, thanks all. So your co-host, Julie, you should be able to share your screen and present mode for the slide deck. And let me know if you have any issues. I'm not a Zoom pro yet. Awesome. Okay. It looks like you're started screen sharing. And then if you click present up there in the right-hand corner.
Perfect.
Cool. So all right, Julie, kick us off.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, Kate. Thank you for the opportunity. And everybody, thank you so much for your time. I know this is your personal time out of your day. So hopefully I can shed some light on exactly what GameSalad is. I'd like to start off saying that there are a lot of platforms for teaching students how to code, and there's a lot of platforms for building games. And so what I want to do is explain what our platform is good at, and hopefully it's what you're looking for. Hopefully it's a good fit, and our teachers seem to like us, so I know we're headed in the right direction. Teacher feedback is something we take very seriously, so we're constantly asking our teachers what they want, and we keep you know, pushing the curriculum offering in the direction that teachers are asking for. So just to start out, this was our last survey, and teachers were saying with over 90% agreement that students have an increased interest in STEM after they've used GameSalad. They have increased problem-solving skills after making games in GameSalad. They're ready to learn more advanced coding and computer science after using GameSalad, and they enjoy their time using GameSalad. I also want to throw in here that I think it was 86% of our teachers said that girls and boys are equally engaged with the GameSalad platform, which is huge for coding because historically sometimes girls kind of don't think coding is cool, which of course it is. So we want to make sure we have everybody engaged on the platform. These are just some people tweeting about us, using it at their schools. And these are a couple of quotes that kind of talk about different aspects our teachers like about us. So GameSalad lets students take their first steps in coding logic easily and quickly, but we have great flexibility and power for those who want to tackle more complex projects. And I'll show you that in a minute, what Steve is talking about. And then Mary Parrish just has a whole list of soft skills she thinks that students are, really delving into when they're building games, like analytical thinking, workflows, teamwork, design, creativity, all kinds of stuff. So this is kind of how we see ourselves. So GameSalad's here in the middle. This is what our interface looks like, and I'll show you the interface in a minute. We're not puzzle pieces. We're not snap together block coding. But we're not full scripting. So scripting being typing the semicolons, typing in a full text-based specific programming language. So if your students are ready for text-based full scripting, that's awesome. But if they're not, we want to make sure that they have an interface that keeps them engaged. And you'll see how GameSalad lends itself to both beginners, middle school and up on average, but also advanced learners. So what teachers like about our platform is that even if their students are older, say they're a senior in high school or even in college and they haven't taken programming yet, they can engage with GameSalad and learn those programming fundamentals. They don't feel like it's for babies because it's so simple looking. So that's kind of how we see ourselves. It's visual programming. As you see, you're reading sentences and kind of filling in the information, but it can get pretty complex with all the different mechanics you're able to program, and our expression editor, which I'll also show you, which is a little bit of text-based coding here and there. So what's going on with computer science? In the US, a lot of students have never taken a CS class, and that's because there aren't teachers trained in it, it's boring, and also, frankly, it's not a required course. But I think the last thing I read said over 90% of students' parents want them to take CS. So our solution is that teachers don't need a CS background in order to teach with GameSalad. If you have one, that's great. You're just going to be able to get in there and show them more of the nitty-gritty stuff, the behind the scenes concepts that they're using. And we have high student engagement. So they're building games, and kids love that. Most of them play games, and even if they don't, there's aspects of storytelling and art design and other things about designing a game that aren't just the mechanics of the game that you can use to help GameSalad appeal to different, types of students who have different interests. So I'm going to show you this slide, and then I'm going to hop over into the platform and actually explain all these things. But this is the GameSalad, I call it the classroom universe. Basically, this is all the aspects you're going to get when you purchase a GameSalad for Education subscription for the classroom. In the middle is the creator editor. The editor is the homepage for the students. It's where they're going to see the tutorial instructions we give them, and they're going to build their games. Teachers also are going to get a dashboard where they can manage their students and find additional lesson plans to teach and cover materials more in detail than what is covered in the games. And then finally, there are 2 ways to enjoy the GameSalad games the students are making. So the platform is a professional game development platform that people use all over the world to publish their own original games to the app stores. And we have that publishing formatting capability enabled for the student accounts. So they get full pro accounts where they can, if they have original content, publish that, format it for publishing, and then go through the normal, app store requirements for actually publishing their games. And then we also have the viewer app. So the GameSalad viewer app allows you to snap a QR code of your game on the creator screen, and then it downloads onto your smartphone into that app, and you can just play it right on your phone. That has a dual purpose also. So if you are an advanced game design student and you are trying to format and your original games for a mobile device, you can actually play it on your mobile device right then and there as a way of testing it. If you're younger and you're just using the tutorial games, you can keep that game on your phone and you have that tangible asset, basically something that exists in a format that you're used to being excited about, a game right on your phone.
Hey, Julie,
okay.
can I ask
Yes,
a question?
ma'am.
So, Matthew has a great question, which, like, I don't know if you want to expand on now or later, is
Sure.
kind of thinking of GameSalad. Does it fit along the line of Tinker or Code Combat, or does it kind of expand beyond the functionality of those?
So, Tinker, I think we are a little bit beyond Tinker as far as what the functionality that's in here. Code Combat I've heard of, but I'm not as familiar with. But I can also ask my team because they've heard of more of the game interfaces than I have. So that's a question I can actually absolutely take back to them. And you can also I like to let teachers just try it. So at the end, I had made a note that you can contact me for a limited trial because it's definitely worth you exploring to see if it does what you want your class to do. But we should be a little more involved than what Tinker is, I believe.
Gotcha. Thanks, Julie.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Okay. Come on over here. There we go.
Oh, is it demo time?
Okay. It's demo time.
Gotcha.
I'll do this a couple of times, but.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think you just need to, awesome. Yeah, it looks like we're seeing now the.
Gonna move this guy. Okay. So GameSalad exists in 2 formats. We have the original downloaded format that you still can use and purchase. It downloads onto your Mac or PC, and you don't need an internet connection to be able to utilize that once it's downloaded. We have PDFs of the game tutorials that I'm going to show you. And if you want to use it that way in a classroom without internet connection, we do have people who still do that all over the world. I'm going to show you the web format because this is the newer offering. It has a little bit more integrated with it. And of course, you can use this virtually. If you need to teach your class when your students are home and you're at your home. So this is the home page where everybody signs in. This is the assignments tab, and it overlays part of the interface here. Now, at the heart of GameSalad are the game tutorials. So what we are doing is project-based learning. Students have instructions here that are very detailed. They have every step outlined for how to build different types of video games. And we show them with screenshots, we show them with text that they read, and we show them with a video that actually goes through and explains all of the steps of how to build the games. And you can pop this out into its own tab. You can click on the images to make them larger. You can watch the video in its own tab and that kind of thing, whatever format works for your students to see. And then what they do is behind it in the creator, they build. So they'll follow along the steps and they'll build games. And all of the games have different computer science concepts built in. So let me just show you real quick a little bit of the monster maze. This is one of the first tutorials. So you have this stage, which is where you visually lay everything out. You have the library, which is either showing your scenes or your actors. Actors you just drag onto your scene, and then the actors you also add all of the programming to. So this is your logic stack. And you come over here to your behaviors and you pull behaviors into your stack. So here for my monster, here, let me go to my scene. I want to show you the preview. A big part of learning with GameSalad is that we have this preview button up here. Now let me move my candy and things. I'm going to move this all closer together so I can show you real fast.
Julie, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I'm the question interrupter. Steve has a great question. Are all of the sprites pre-made, or can the students create their own through app or importing?
Yeah, that's a perfect question. So you can, both are true. So when you open a template, basically you can have a blank template that has nothing in it, or you can open one of the templates that we provide for the tutorial games. Like this one has all of the assets in it that you need, but you can absolutely add your own. You can just drag them from your desktop, drop them right in here, and they become a usable image in your project. Same with sound files. Just drop the sound files in here and you can use them. Our game design teachers are going to use that a lot. So some of our teachers spend the whole semester having students build original things. They use Photoshop and other pretty advanced, media creation tools, and then they drop all their own art and sounds into their own game that they're designing. So great question. Thank you. So one of the important
question,
aspects
Julie.
of game. Yeah.
I
No,
should have
I'm
like
glad.
a little buzzer. It's hard when you're presenting to also look at the Zoom thing.
Oh yeah, I'm
Gabriel,
terrible at that.
Gabriel's a great question. Can we integrate into Teams for education? I'm assuming that's Microsoft Teams or?
Oh, we don't have any direct integration with any of the LMSs like Google or anything like that.
Gotcha. And it looks like Dan, I mean, you can tell my background isn't necessarily in CS, but Dan responded with REP, yes, Microsoft Teams, Gabriel confirmed. Dan responded, Replit.
Yeah, we basically you can only log into the GameSalad platform. So some of our teachers are using Google Classroom to like send different links about everything to their students, but we don't directly integrate. We have one integration with Clever, so you can log in through Clever to reach GameSalad. But that's the only direct integration that we have. Actually, that's not true. So we also have Google login. So you can log in to GameSalad with your Google account, but it doesn't go any further than that, just the login. It pings Google for the student's login. Nice. Okay, so if you're in the preview, then you're able to play your game. And the point is to try to break your game. So every time you build something, you build a, oop, look at that. I went right through the maze. That's not supposed to happen. I must have forgotten something. So very quickly, as you build, you can see by playing whether the logic that you built is working the way that you intended it to. Now, if you're building the games from the tutorials, you simply want to add a behavior and preview, add a behavior and preview, and it helps keep you on track. If you're experimenting, then you can just say, maybe, how do I do this? And just try it and then preview, and maybe it worked, and maybe it was slightly different than you thought it was going to be, and you can go back and continue to play with it. So for this guy, I need a collide behavior. Must have not been following along. Collide, bounce when colliding with actor of type maze. And now see my project is syncing. And if I preview again.
That's nice. You can preview the game because that isn't always available on some of these. You have to like publish.
Right. That's exactly right. Okay, now it's working. Now I'm bouncing off the walls. I moved all my candy up so you can see. And I win. Okay, so my game works right now. Fantastic. Okay, what else do I want to show you in here? Oh, publishing. Perfect. So the other part of the platform is your published projects. What you can do is you'll be able to publish to, you can publish to the arcade, which is where you get a link to your finished game to play and it lives online in our arcade. But you can also publish to all of these formats. And again, you'll have to have an App Store account and go through the App Store process for submitting your game to actually be published. But you have the capability to do that. HTML5, Android, all the iOS main stuff. You also have the QR code, which you can get to from this screen, or you can get to it straight from here. And that would allow you to do the same thing. So scan this with the GameSalad Viewer app on your smartphone and then play the game just as you would have previewed it online. You can play it actually on the device that you're trying to make it for. Nice. So that's a snapshot of how the platform actually works. And what I want to get into now is some of the specifics about why this works for CS and for game design both. First, let's talk about distance learning. So you might be distance learning right now, or you might need to later on. The great thing about the web platform is originally all of our teachers were in class with their students and they were all connected on the web, but you can connect remotely on the web also. You can work on Chromebooks, laptops or desktops. Chromebooks should have at least 2 gigs of RAM, which is not a lot, but they should have at least 2 gigs of RAM if you're going to use a Chromebook for GameSalad. And then you can have Google sign in like we talked about, or you can just have an anonymous login. You can just be like student1 at tigersaregreat.com. So you don't have to have any personal information in the platform at all if you're worried about, internet safety and personal information for your students.
Good. Julie,
yeah.
Question time.
Sure.
Mitch asks, does the platform support all the requirements for the 2020 AP Computer Science Principles performance task if a student wanted to use this for their task? So I don't know if you've gotten a question along that, if tasks that certain students have to do in alignment for, that like.
No one's ever asked me that. I don't know. I would have to see.
Okay.
What I can tell you is that it would really depend on what they are, because I'm not as familiar with exactly what the AP requirements are.
Gotcha. Is
I
that
don't
something you
know.
could take back to your team? I can go ahead and capture this
Definitely.
from
Thank you. That would
Mitch.
be great. Thank
Yeah,
you,
because
Kate.
your team might know a little bit more, and I know with yeah, Mitch says a follow-up, it would need to support lists slash arrays and functions with parameters.
Let's see. I know we support arrays and data tables. I don't know about the other one, but I'll
Right, to
definitely
put you on
find
the
out for you.
spot.
No, you're fine. I've learned more about computer science than I ever knew before, and I still have more to learn. So,
Gotcha.
so yeah, so the reasons that this works well for distance learning are, first of all, we have those step-by-step tutorials with the videos. So, you know, most students are able to pick this up and do it even if their teacher's not there with them, especially after the first project. So one of the things that my teachers told me is that they would do the first project together, just like they would in the classroom. So let's say everybody's at home and they're in a Zoom meeting, and they would say, okay, let's watch the Monster Maze Part 1 video. It's like 5 minutes long. So everybody watches the video, and then the teacher says, okay, now everyone build what they just saw, and the teacher reiterates the steps again. So they're hearing their teacher tell them what to do, and they're doing it in the platform. And then the teacher can, you know, help collaborate with students who need a little bit of extra assistance, which goes to this point. So teachers can view student projects through the portal in the teacher dashboard, and they can monitor their student progress, stepping through the tutorials, and of course they can assign quizzes. So
Just checking, Julie, we're at like halftime because we're trying to make it at under an hour. So
great. That's perfect. I'm going to show you the dashboard real quick, and then we'll go through kind of how our middle schoolers and how our high schoolers use it, and I think we'll be all set. So teachers get this dashboard side, and they can toggle back and forth. So they get a creator interface too. This is where all their classes live, their GameSalad classes, and they can assign curriculum from here. These are all of the game units, and when you're in a unit, there's about 9 hours of additional lesson plans per unit. So yes, building the game is, you know, awesome, but we also have extra materials, and these are where the CSTA standards are also going to be covered. And they're very detailed. So, you know, most of my students or my teachers, they go through and they kind of choose which activities are going to best underscore what the goal of their course is. But all of this is here for you for every single game unit.
nice.
Yeah. In addition to the lesson plan, there's all the materials for the lesson plan. So you have items like the game design rubric. This one is just basically a grid that has different criteria and what a basic, proficient, and advanced game would look like. So you can give this to your students and kind of give them an idea about how you might be grading their game. I also like this one. Game planning document. So these tie back into the lesson plans to specific activities you'd have them do, but you could have them fill this out for like a game they already know. You know, what does the game look like? What are you trying to achieve? Go through all these criteria and help them kind of wrap their head around what goes into designing a game. And then of course they can use the same worksheet as they design their own games. You also have roster management. You have total control over all the students' logins. You can see their password. You can change their password even if you can't see it. You can give them a new one if they need it. You can change any of their login information. And again, the name field only appears here. So if you want confidentiality, the name is only here for your own view, but you can put anything here in the name field. And if there's nothing in the name field, it just shows the username instead.
And
And
Julie,
then,
you said, oh, sorry, Julie, you said that you don't need to have the student's email, that it can be made up anything, right?
it's a login in the format of an email. So like this, Clever Famous Ocelot, this doesn't go to an email address. It's just a login. There's no requirement to click in your email to activate your account, nothing like that. So this is how you would just make them up and hand them out to your students, or have them sign up with these we generate these random animal adjective combinations for students if they don't have something else they want to put in.
Nice. Okay.
So real quick, I want to go over, we have our capstone game unit. This is a game lesson plan. It doesn't have a tutorial with it, but it's all about how students can approach building their own game from scratch, all the way from brainstorming to advertising after they've developed and debugged their game. So this is designed for a small group to work together on a game, but that whole lesson plan is there for you. We also have digital citizenship, which is just introduction about how to safely navigate the internet. You know, you've got netiquette here, social media, things like that, just extra materials for you to use. And then this cool lesson on why teach computer science. What is it? History of video games. All this is here for you as the teacher to teach in addition to the games. So the last thing I want to show you here real quick is how you can port in. So I highlight my student and I go to their portfolio, and then I can actually go into their game. It opens in a new tab, and I see my student's game in a live view of their workspace. So this is my own assignments drawer, but when I'm looking here, I see all their actors, I see all their logic. I can make changes. There is a note.
If a student gets stuck, you can look at their work and kind of go in.
You can look at their work. You can make notes right in their logic stack. You could preview their game if you wanted to just get a sense of, you didn't want to look through their logic, you want to see how far they built it, just preview their game and try to break it like they're supposed to be doing. You can grade their game this way just by going in and clicking play, and if it works right, then they must have done it right, you know, because of course there's more than one way to code things in the platform. There's the way we show you, and then there's maybe a different way that has the same result. So depends on how you want to teach. You can also use this to collaborate. So let's say you're in a Zoom and a student has a question and they want to figure out how to do something in their game. As the teacher, you could go into their game, you could share their game logic stack in your Zoom, and then you can ask your students, so how can we go about this? And then both you as the teacher and that student whose game it is have the ability to be editing as the students are giving you ideas. A similar mechanic to this is used to help students work in the same game at the same time. So that is pair programming is possible with GameSalad also. So you can have two students in building on one web-based project. So let's go back, and I just want to kind of fill in and give color on the two ways that our teachers use the platform. So middle school. So these are 4 of our tutorial games. There are some more, but you see there's different, you know, they're different types of games. We've got this like a Pac-Man game, this one's a platformer, this one's Pong. And so our middle school students are going to spend the majority of their time building these games. It's going to take them a little bit longer to build because they're younger and newer at computer science. But they can do the challenges at the end of the tutorials to add complexity. And then of course you've got the lesson plans where you as the teacher might be spending less time building and more time talking about the computer science principles. All of these principles are covered in our tutorials. So variables, object-oriented development, event-driven programming, functions, trigonometric math, angles, rotations, comparison operators, conditional execution, data structures and data-driven design, looping, physics and simulation, string manipulation, and more. And there's some links here so you can see how these are translated into GameSalad lingo and which concepts are covered in which tutorial games. And this is just like a recap. So our younger students are going to be adding graphics and sound. They're going to be able to build a little bit beyond the tutorial. And of course, they can create original games too, in addition to publishing, using the viewer app to play their games, and then having that preview and debugging mechanic to help them not get lost. They do get a full pro account. They do have the step-by-step instructions, and then they are practicing their programming concepts. So game design. I like to think of this as a middle ground between building an original game and just following the tutorial is going to be modifying the templates. This works really well for middle school because, of course, it can be quite an undertaking to imagine an entirely new game with entirely made up mechanics that you may or may not have been taught how to make in the tutorial. But if you modify the template and you say, okay, how would you reimagine this and make this your own, then your students know how to do most of what they want, and yet they're adding their own creativity to it. So these are two examples. We've got Fruit Fall here, where you move the basket and you catch the fruit, but not the frogs and the snails. And then this is a student game where he has to go shopping for his grandma for pie ingredients. And so it's the same game, but it looks totally different. He's made his own graphics, and you want to catch the fruit, but not the rotten fruit. Got to skip those. Don't want to take those home to grandma. So I just love this one. And of course, he made all these graphics also. And then the other example I wanted to show you is going to be Space Runner. So Space Runner is our platformer game, but over here we have Desert Runner. So this student put in entirely new graphics. So there's the little guy, and he's got new monster, he's got new background, everything. So it hardly looks the same at all, and yet he's already been shown how to make all of this logic.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's not a student game I've ever seen that didn't surprise me with something. I just went, I never would have thought of that. Never would have thought of it. So the other thing that about half of our teachers use us for is a game design class. So high school and college students, they're going to be ready to use the tutorial games, but get through them quickly as a way of acclimating themselves to the platform. They're going to use that capstone game unit to build an original game. They're going to pair program where they're as a team, coding a game together. They're going to design original art and sound. And they're also going to use GameSalad, frankly, to rapidly prototype games. So maybe they are ready for coding in a more complex, full scripting way, but they want to have like proof of concept. So they can use game design simply to quickly, spin up a game idea, play it, and then see if it's worth actually spending all that time coding in like Unity or something like that. And then if you guys get this presentation, you should totally watch the social distancing model that Tan makes. Sorry, did you have a question?
No questions. I was saying we will share the slide deck out later. And then
Yeah. Watch this video where he makes the social distancing model, because I just love it, because he has nothing, and like 30 minutes later he has this cool simulation, and he's just going back and forth. He's trying things, he's previewing, he's going back and messing with them, and he's really good at using the platform, but you can see how that's done when you watch him build that model. And then these are just 3 examples of original games that students made. So, all their own graphics and art. This one's like a choose your own adventure game. This one is also kind of a choose your own adventure. It's about a guy transferring to a new high school, and it's like, the social problems he encounters. And then this one is asteroids. So to recap, our game design students, what they like about the platform is the versatility. The physics engine is always on, so you've got to account for physics in all of your mechanics that you make. We've got accelerometer support. We've got support for using tables. There's the array. Of course, you can create the apps to publish to mobile. You can add graphics and sounds, and then we have expressions typed like traditional code. So in here is where we have little bits of scripting. You can push this button, and instead of typing out "you win," you can actually come in here and type out the formulas as you would with full scripting, full text coding. So as a teacher, you can have your students utilize this to give them bits and pieces of full scripting coding. And Kate, I'll just go over the different packages we have, and then do you wanna finish up the rest of the presentation after that?
yeah, sounds good, as long as you'll click for me.
Oh, sure, yes. Basically, I just wanted you guys to know that we recently created different subscription models. We used to just have it for 1 year, but now we have 1 semester. We even have 6 weeks. So we also lowered the minimum of students to just 10, and we have volume discounts. So if you have a lot of students, you have hundreds of students, let us know about that too. We're trying to accommodate all the different models of classrooms that exist. And even if you don't need GameSalad for the whole year, if it fits somewhere into your curriculum, we want to be able to serve you there.
Awesome, that's nice, that kind of that flexibility. I don't think I've seen, I mean, based off our benefits, the 6 weeks of just using a platform. That's nice.
Yeah, I even have teachers who have 6-week rotation classes. The whole class is only 6 weeks. It's really interesting.
Nice. So I just wanted to call out, there's Julie mentioned earlier in this presentation, is if you'd like, and probably should put this in the slide deck before I put it out, is if you would like a trial to contact Julie, is that correct? For a very short trial? Gotcha.
Absolutely.
So I'll share that information on the next slide. I think just information-wise is if you're a Plus member, you can kind of get a discount on the product depending on what you're looking for at 25%. So that's just information. I think in terms of figuring out what you need for your classroom and what makes sense in these really strange and weird times, is kind of absorb what you learned tonight, and if it's a fit, if it isn't, and maybe reach out to Julie for a demo, or just to see, hey, maybe my district does have some budgeting since we know we're going to be hybrid, or we need some kind of content for the spring. Next slide, please.
Sure.
Nice. Other things I wanted to highlight is if you're a basic CSTA member, is these are weird times. Just reach out to me at membership@csteachers.org, and I'll give you a discount code for CSTA Plus. I'm not trying to sell anything. I just want to let you know, is we know these are hard times, and I want to be able to support you. And thank you for joining this evening. I'll be sharing out this slide deck, but on this slide, through this link, you'll be able to request a quote and say, hey, I have this many, just to kind of manage expectations on we're looking at different platforms, we're looking at what might be a good fit. So what's best for your classroom and what, might be good. other things is Julie's awesome, and we have her email. So if you have questions and would like that access to a tutorial for a short time, I will share this information out to anyone registered to the webinar, and this information and the slide deck will be available in the recording in the Plus newsletter, as well as on the Plus benefit page. But yeah, I think the next slide, Julie, is to cover any questions that weren't covered during the presentation. I just want to kind of like let everyone absorb. And if you have a question, feel free to shout it out in the chat and we'll address it. But I really appreciate everyone's time today. I'm going to give a couple minutes just for folks to kind of think about if you want to ask a question. Otherwise, Julie and myself will be available via email. And yeah, I'm not seeing any questions come up. So I just want to say thank you so much, Julie, for your time. And I really appreciate everyone for staying on. I know some people joined late or here or there, but it's really nice to see that kind of insider look and being like, well, how does this work? And what is, you know, the best steps for me, and that insight is really nice. So thank you so much. I don't see any other questions. Yeah, thanks, Dan. Is we're gonna go ahead and wrap up, and I'll share the slide deck early next week, as well as the recording, and as well as Julie's information. Thanks all, and be safe and have a great night.
Thank you so much, Kate, for the opportunity, and for everyone for your time tonight. Have a great evening.
Thanks so much. All right, I'm going to close out. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.